It's a beautiful Sunday morning, and I'm in the parking lot at church. Esther is in singing in the choir. I'm not singing in the choir because, one, I can't sing anymore. I used to be able to, but I mean, like, listen to me. I sound like I've been smoking for 30 years, which I have never smoked at all in my life, but um, I have asthma pretty I have asthma, and it's pretty severe, and it has really changed my vocal range and capacity. Um, and two, I have I kind of have anxiety. I haven't really talked about that much in the past. In fact, I wasn't really planning on talking about it this morning, but since I mentioned it, I will. I'll talk about it just a little bit. I have kind of a subconscious anxiety. It usually manifests itself not in worry, but in feeling sick. And I have to usually consciously think to myself, okay, what is going on in my life that I feel worried about, that I feel anxious about? Anyway, some of the health problems I had over the summer, the migraines and the headaches, it was very much related to anxiety. So I'm sitting in the parking lot, kind of psyching myself up to go into church because I love church and I love the people that I go to church with. And yet I still feel anxiety in situations where I'm with other people. It's actually really a frustrating feeling. If you've never experienced it, that's so good. I'm so grateful and happy that you have not experienced it. If you have experienced anxiety in a public setting, with people who are your friends, I empathize with how painful that is. It is very hard. It's actually really hard, especially when you're a friendly and gregarious person, to suddenly find yourself wanting to not be with people, to not be around people, to not have people see you, to not, it's very frustrating. It's very difficult. It's very hard. Anxiety is not fun. I have way more empathy for my husband now than I used to. And because he has struggled with social anxiety for years, like decades of his life. He has struggled with social anxiety. And it's really been hard for him. And he just goes to church anyway because he has a testimony. He goes, he went to work because he had a family to take care of. He did all the things that anxiety makes it really difficult to do because he had higher goals to accomplish, which is the way that you typically overcome, anxiety. Is you move forward, you remind yourself what's real and what's not real, and you move forward in small ways into the arena of the thing that makes you feel uncomfortable. And so I'm grateful for him for braving his way through that, because it's constant. It's constant for him. It's not constant for me, but it is constant for him. Anyway, I had some thoughts as Esther and I were driving into church this morning. Had a kind of an online chat discussion about forgiveness this morning with some people, my niece Anna, and a few other people. And actually, it seems to be a theme in multiple threads and conversations that people are having right now. I think because the holidays tend to make us both grateful and melancholy for things that have happened in our lives. It more clearly defines some of the things that are not quite right in our life. And forgiveness crops up as this kind of light at the end of the tunnel, or for some people, feels like a millstone around their neck and a weight that because they struggle to be able to forgive. And so I wanted to just share my perspective on forgiveness, what it looks like, and what it feels like and maybe what it isn't. I think when someone hurts us, um, either intentionally or unintentionally, and I think most of the time pain is caused unintentionally. There's very few people that we run into who do things with intention to harm others. We just get in the way of their goal. I mean, and we can say, well, that was intentional. Well, it wasn't that they set out with a goal to harm. They set out with a goal to accomplish something they wanted, and it was more like they just didn't care enough about the people that were in their way that they hurt them. It was, people call it collateral damage. It honestly is the thing that I believe that matters the most, because I think our relationships in this life are literally the most important thing that we take away with us from this life. Because those things, those relationships, those bonds are the things that move out beyond us and have impact in humanity for all time. And since I believe in an afterlife, I believe in the existence of a soul, those relationships are also the thing that I think carries with us. The things we learn and the love that we build between us like a web. So when people run over us in some way on their path to achieve a goal, sometimes we, in our wounded state, we erroneously believe that we will be able to move on when they have sufficiently repented of their sins against us. In essence, we tie our happiness to their capacity to be sorry for what they did. And I would just like to postulate that the person who caused you pain in the first place because they were unconcerned with your feelings, if they were the kind of person who could come back and patch up all the woundedness that's happened in your life because of their action, they probably wouldn't have done it in the first place. And they certainly can't carry all the weight of the damage that's caused by the ripples from their action, right? I mean, why would we tie our happiness to someone else's decision? Why? It disempowers us on every single level to tie our joy, our capacity to move forward with our own life, to someone else's decision. Takes all of the power of hope and better living and forward motion out of our own hands and gives it to someone with a proven track record of hurting us. Why? Why would we do that? We do it because wounds link us, right? They link us. We're bound to the person who hurt us in this energetic, spiritual way, because they touched our life in such a profound way. Not a good profound way, but such a profound way that we are forever changed because of them. And literally, the only thing that breaks that bond is forgiveness. Here's how it works. When someone hurts us, what we ask for, what we want to heal us, is recompense. The idea that we will receive compensation equal to our pain. Because we are beings who appreciate and want wholeness, right? We want to be whole again, not walking wounded. We don't want to be going around with our broken heart bleeding on everybody else that we run into, right? We don't want to be that. We want to be whole. We want to be healthy. We want to be capable of helping others. And we feel that we must be compensated for our wounds by the person who wounded us in the first place. But that is not how forgiveness works, because that person usually offered up injury because they were wounded too, or they suffered with a neurological disorder, or they just were unaware. And so in order to get our compensation, we take something from them when they were already running on a deficit. And what happens is everyone falls further and further and further into this punitive deficiency. We don't have enough because the hole is never filled. We're never really whole again. That emptiness that comes from being hurt never gets filled when we try to punish someone into compensation. We're going to make them hurt as bad as we hurt. And it doesn't work because they will never understand how much they hurt us, because they're not us. They can't really empathize with us. What we really wish for when we seek that compensation is we wish we could go back in time and have it never happen. We wish they could go back in time and be a different person. A person who is capable of more love and more compassion and more kindness. And they're not. And so we're disappointed all over again when we seek compensation, because that's not who they are. And every single time something good happens in their life to fill their deficiency, we feel rejected and hurt all over again. And we have resentment that builds, because why the heck are they happy when they caused me so much unhappiness? The world is unfair. How could that person ever be happy? It doesn't work. But with forgiveness, we seek compensation from someone else. Someone who isn't running on a deficiency. Someone who offers us compassion, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Someone with enough love and enough empathy and understanding that they fill up that empty, wounded space, hole in our heart, left over from someone else taking pieces of us away. This is where the Christian concept of atonement comes in. That Christ was so filled with love for us, the love from his Father for us, that he offers us compensation for our wounds. He says, look, I know how much you hurt. And this person over here who hurt you, they wounded you in such a terrible way that they can never fix it again. They can't. They can't go back and fix it again. But I can. Christ says, I can. I can fix it if you'll let me. But this is the deal we make. The deal we make is, I will heal you. I will make you whole again. I will fill up the empty places and patch up the broken parts, and I will give you hope and a promise for better things tomorrow and better things today and peace today. I will offer that to you. But the cost is you have to let me work out with that other person what's going to happen because of what he or she did. So when we have this offer of healing, Christ offers this to us freely, generously. And we have this option to take him up on it. To take him up on the offer of healing. But healing comes at the cost of desiring healing for other people too, particularly for people who wounded us. Because I'm going to also postulate that it is impossible to reach true healing and still wish for another's harm. I think when we reach a place of real healing, we don't wish hurt on other people. We don't want to create deficiencies in the world. We don't want to compensate ourselves at the expense of another soul, because that's what landed us in pain in the first place. You know, you see compassionate actions like Christ. A willingness to bear our burdens that weren't his, to bear them with us. And we see this in the lives of other people. Friends who come and just say, I'm so sorry you hurt. Let me hurt with you. You see this in children who, support and love their parents when they see their parents struggling. Say, I'm sorry. Let me just be with you in this loss, this grief. You see it in parents who bear this with their children. I'm sorry this happened. I would take this away if I could. Let me just be here with you. Forgiveness is letting go of a need to hurt someone else in order to make yourself feel better. That's forgiveness. And when we reach that point, when we get to a point where we can forgive like that, that is what peace is. Because our happiness, our joy, our capacity to move forward in the world is no longer tied to someone else hurting enough to make up for our hurt. This is the lesson behind Christ's admonition to turn the other cheek, to repay good for someone else's evil. Because you cannot take from another person and hope to overcome the deficiency of love in the world. The only solution for deficiency of compassion and kindness is more love, not more punishment. Punishment doesn't build love. It builds resentment, and resentment grows. So this Christmas, if you're struggling with pain and people you can't forgive, my prayer for you is that you can find that hope in Christ and the love he has to offer you, and that you can feel forgiveness for those who have wounded you, and find forgiveness for yourself from those you may have wounded, because we all have need of both. I love you. Have a good Sabbath day.